I'm looking 3. Yeah, I think we got it. 2.
Maybe.
And 1.
The lovely, majestic red peacock in his natural habitat. Notice as he shies away from the wild peat. Look at the sheen of peat's coat, obtained from the drink of hops and the eating of wild weeds. This song and dance, prescribed every Tuesday and Thursday. Nature, a wonderful gift.
I think it's doing it. I think it's going.
It just seems so off-putting, John. I look back at these times in life, John. I look back and I say to myself, I say, my boy Pete, what do you think you were doing? So, and I say, I do not know. I am merely the vessel that you seem to transport your consciousness in from day to day. But here we are yet again. Good morning.
Good morning.
What's up, buddy?
Hey, buddy. Did that work?
I didn't mean.
I don't know
You
if
said
it
I.
worked.
Hey, you said that I don't take this job seriously, so I put on an ascot. I put on a colonist beard, more of a something that I would come and invade your country with. A nice coat jacket. John, I'm nothing if not serious. Dude, tell me about your problems.
Nice pipe.
Yeah, man. Like in 2 days, I haven't smoked since Tuesday. I'm smoke serious. I'm a hipster. I have a skateboard and a tight black sweatshirt, and I vape. Doggy, but you suck. I know. But we're working through it one step at a time. Once I get off of this, I'm going to get to the nicotine gum, then I'll get the heroin, then I'm going to get. No, wait. I think I got the order wrong. I got to go back to the flow chart, figure out. Otherwise, I'm not going to land this fucking mission correctly. I'm 2 days in. I'm already.
You should do what Bill McNeil from News Radio did. He stopped smoking, but he started chewing. He's like, I'm mixing it up. It's my gums, not my lungs. Hey.
Right now, I'm an adrenaline junkie. I base jump. I play Russian roulette in third world countries for money. It's ridiculous. Anything to feel alive, John, and not smoke.
Have you taken up running?
From the law, yes.
Well, I think we should have a shot and start the show.
Oh God, thank yes. Because right now this is all precursor. This is all stuff that's going to be edited out before the show, right? Will be broadcast. Oh yeah. All the good editing you do. Anyway, thank God, folks. Thanks for tuning in. We are the Two-Sided Pod. We are on YouTube every Thursday live. Thanks for tuning in. John's going to be periodically checking that YouTube chat room and see what's happening. But until then, thanks for coming to the study. Cheers.
Cheers, everybody. And we got our first message on the tubes of the Ube. It's ahoy hoy.
Ahoy hoy.
From our favorite lady across the pond, of course.
Ahoy hoy. Well, it's so early. So early. You gotta respect that. And I know, like, in and out there, because you don't have to always be here. It doesn't mean a lot when you are, but you can subscribe to our YouTube channel where you can see all these great videos and you can see our reactions to your reactions to the reactions. It's a very reactionary show. Anyway, We're live.
And there's a fly. Bonk.
Buddy, no one else can see him but you. So here's the part where being an actor and realizing that nothing in your world exists except for the show you're doing. So that fly you don't react to and you don't yell at. And you don't keep on saying bonk and making faces because literally no one else can see it but you, right? John, I feel like you're playing up into a part where, John, how does that make you feel? Lie down on my couch. You see flies all the time? Tell me.
Big one, too.
Are they always that big? Don't jump at me, John. I'm your doctor and your friend. Just lay back.
Well,
it's actually really funny because I did see it fly by the camera, and it's actually the size of a horse.
It's a huge fly. Ah, bunk.
Stop saying bunk. Okay. I just watched Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. It could be a family who lives upstairs who are just trying to get back to their fucking... We were in the wrong bodega at the wrong time.
Do you see that it's now actually flying towards the camera?
Yes, because it hears me talking. It's like, if we slow it down, he'll be able to help us. Yes, John. Yes, help them that way. Yes. You're never going to get him, dummy.
I'm going to get him. I'm going to get him. Watch this.
Yeah. Hey, I'm just letting you know, I saw the whole Mr. Miyagi Karate Kid thing. It didn't end well for Miyagi. You are far from a Daniel-san.
Fortunately, jeez, that guy stinks of failure.
Look where he is and look where you've been for the last 20 seconds. How big were your lies?
He's scared.
How big were your lies to yourself, John? I'd go bigger. Hey, John. If you had to make one part of your body grow, how big would you make it grow? He's over here now, John. You gave him to me. Is this some sort of telepathy? Telepathy? That's how you make. Yeah, it's like when you use a lathe and you do telepathy. Telepathy? Yes, it's telepatia. It's a small fish. You use tapatio in the telepatia in the telepathy. And then I'll send it to you telepathically, John. Oof. Be sure you pick up your telepathic fish mail with hot sauce, because if you don't, it stinks the next day.
Well, on that note, well, howdy. I'm John L. Peacock out in Brooklyn, New York.
And I'm my boy Pete, of the lineage, finery, houses, walnut, rich Corinthian leather, ideas, acceptance. Did I mention Southern California?
And you're listening to Two-Sided, a live recorded podcast where each week I challenge Pete with a bit of the two sides of life, the serious and the fun.
Yeah, John, the serious and the fun. That's such a misleading idea of what this is. Nothing is serious or fun of what you claim them to be. It is not the right and the wrong that I say it is. It is the yes and the no that I claim it is the push and the pull and the ebb and the flow, taking the tug. Ooh. Yeah, it's all of those things, but none of the first. Former, not latter.
Is it the ping and the pong, if you will?
No. That's John. We don't even say that. No, that's racist.
The game is?
You can't even call it that. It's called table tennis, bro.
We take great words and just turn them into stupid. It's like the roundabout.
If if
is
they
the
rhyme,
traffic circle.
if they rhyme, if they're too funny, someone takes offense.
Roundabout. Take the next exit at the roundabout.
Yeah. Big old circle. Circle road circle.
You got it. Hey, my boy Pete. Let's do a quick check-in. How you feeling in?
Yeah, let's go to the center of the whoop-de-doo, spin around a few times, and come out the other end. Oh, you call it a roundabout? I call it a whoop-de-doo. Okay, go.
How you feeling in 3 words? 3 words, my boy Pete. How you feeling?
Excitedly distinguished. This posh.
I'm sorry. What was that 3rd word?
Posh. You know,
posh.
like posh, like your favorite Spice Girl.
I heard decidedly distinguished. Posh.
Then you must be hearing things. Disposh. I would say gazpacho, ceviche, sopapillas. Sorry, I'm thinking my last supper. What do you want from me, John? So I'm already not enunciating correctly. So I don't use my words. So what if I slur? So what if it gets worse as the night goes on? John, the way I see it, buddy, we've only just begun, pal. Welcome to the party.
And you are correct. We have just begun our next lightning round. Hey, lightning round guy. How you doing, brother?
Hey, lighting guy. Yeah, it's been a struggle with him lately. He's been on best behavior, but the thing is, he's heard other fucking lightning guys in the neighborhood that get walks. Like, yeah, but I don't have the time to walk you, and I don't want to be seen in public with you. That's fine. Actually, I need to send him out there for. I do need to send him out there. At least maybe if he has to be here, maybe he can get his cousin out. And he says he has a cousin in Queens. He needs a place to come and do some shows out there. Yeah, he says. So he said that you on that show, if you want to host Lightning Man, you might have a visitor. We'll see. Anyway, I'm glad glad to hear. I don't know who's going. All right, John. I think we're all as confused as you are.
Well, anyone knows that our first lightning round of the episode is always a standard Q&A. My boy Pete, are you ready for the questions?
Yeah, John, I think I'm ready. I think I'm good now. Yeah. Yes.
My boy Pete, who are some famous U.S. abolitionists?
John Smith,
Mm-hmm.
Also Sojourner Truth, I'm not good. That's really bad. Can't remember. So hey, I'm a few bars I can sing along. You say it first, and it's it is. Yeah, and yep. Okay.
Yeah, you got a couple good ones. The John, we'll actually talk about him later in the episode, so we don't need to worry about him. I'll bring him back up, and you'll be like, yes, him. Um, Interestingly enough, Aaron Burr was also a famous early abolitionist.
That's what I heard. But I only heard that one. I've only heard that from one specific story, one thing. So I haven't heard that a lot. But yeah, I've heard that story. I've heard that history about it. Very interesting.
Ben Franklin, another great one. He
Okay.
had slaves early on, but was turned to the truth, got rid of them, and was super anti-slavery even before the U.S. was a country. Like he was super.
Even before was it pre-kite or post-kite? Because did he get struck by lightning and saw the fucking truth, or was he like, man, I know what's up. I can invent electricity now. Y'all bitches better watch out. Now you see the truth. That's when I got bifocals coming down the line next. I'll do a cravat every now and again.
It's actually when he coined the phrase, I saw the light.
Yeah. And then he did that song, and it opened up Ben Franklin's eyes, and now he's happy again without you living. He saw the sign, and it opened up his eyes. Ben Franklin, happy now. Isn't that the one?
Yeah. The alternate lyrics are "He saw the light." But anyway, my boy Pete, name one aspect of the Underground Railroad. I remember you had that great history teacher, so that's why I'm throwing these history questions at you. Just one aspect about the Underground Railroad.
It's a secret.
That's one. Do you want to name another? You're on a roll.
It didn't have actual trains.
Hey, I mean, you're doing great. Let's go for 3 for 3.
There's some aspects. It was what do you mean aspects of it? Like the people who were doing it, or how they moved, or what they?
You can sure, yeah. How they move, yeah, all of that, yeah, totally, yeah, anything.
So there
a lot
were
of people
signs,
don't really know.
People there were songs that were sung. There were people who would give talks, who would say certain. It was very coded, very much like the Revolutionary War, where there was, and then what we still did in World War I and World War II, where it was very codes. It was very, I don't know. It was kind of cool in that regard, where it's cloak and dagger. It wasn't cool at all, because you had to. The reason it was. But you'd move this way, and you'd meet, and you'd have certain sympathizers who would also be in line. You'd be slowly handed off through this Underground Railroad, where it was just like person to person, good person to good person. You had this connection, like you don't know who you're going to meet, you know where you're going, but you know you're going to be here at this point. This person's going to take you, which is good people doing good things for for good reasons, not like, same things like, oh, I need to go score. All right, go to that tree and wait by that alley. Someone will come. You're same idea, but not for the good reasons. And someone, yeah. Also, who buys drugs by trees these days? Do you live in Sherwood Forest? If you do, I would like to come to your town. I can see what's up. From Hood, Little John running through the forest, buying coke, looking for weed on the way. Ooh lolly, God, it's gonna be a day.
Tell them Maid Marian sent you. Wink. Yeah, a lot of one thing misconception is that it was a lot of white abolitionists who worked it. And it was mostly worked by by freed Black Americans. The white Americans who ran it or worked in it were not the abolitionists, because they were hot targets, right? It was like, oh, obviously they're going to help out, so they couldn't. They were like kind of like, I have to do one or the other, so I'm going to print all the words. You do it was Quakers. A lot of Quakers were really into helping people find freedom from enslavement, and that's, I think, a pretty cool thing. The Quaker. The more I read about the Quakers, the more I learn about the Quakers, the more I'm like, dude, these were historically, like, they didn't make themselves better recently. They've always been pretty freaking good.
Yeah. Well, the more you read about Quakers, the more I think you resemble one, John. And people can actually attest to that. If you just click that link above us right now, we're going live on YouTube. You can see John's face. Put a little top hat on him. Give him a plow. Give him a barn to raise. Tell me he's not a fucking Quaker.
Next question, my boy Pete. What is the Missouri Compromise?
Oh, shit. I can tell you Missouri doesn't compromise about nothing. Shit. This was the Missouri Compromise. That was the one that was the 3/5, wasn't it? That was the. I should know this one. I do know this one.
You're on the right trail. It had to do with the North allowing the South to do stuff in the North.
Okay, well, yeah. Okay, go ahead and tell me. We're just giving hints now.
The president at the time allowed people to come up to the North and
fucking Missouri. Y'all can take anything you want in Missouri.
They could capture freed people and send them back to.
Yeah. Missouri, yeah, because they take the people who had escaped and take them back. Which was, yeah, I forgot about that. No, I was thinking the other.
Yeah, it was horrible. It was horrible. And also, Missouri became a slave state. Anyway,
well, yeah,
what do you know?
Missouri is a horrible place.
Final question.
Sorry, Missouri.
Wow, we got a lot of messages. Final question. What do you know about Frederick Douglass?
A bit, not enough. Great hair. He was a freed slave. He became one of the most powerful abolitionist politicians. He was an amazing speaker. He was more of a better orator than Lincoln. He had more to do. What did he write that he didn't get credit for? There was something that he's not credited for, and I forget the thing. Anyway, great hair. Looks like Doc Brown meets Einstein in a fucking cravat. Badass.
Yeah. And in fact, on that note, I think we need to do a shot to Mr. Douglas.
Yes, sir.
Just to his hair. Well, actually, right now, we're just going to do a shot to Frederick Douglass's hair because, wow.
Is this going to be the show? Thank God. Is this the serious part about hairstyles? Because if we are doing a show with hairstyles, it's about time we get into the fucking brass tacks of hairstyles, John. You know I've always wanted to be a stylist, right? And I have been dying to talk about your roots since we started this podcast. Here's to you. Cheers.
Cheers. Oh, we got so many messages during that lightning round. My boy Pete, can you please take it away?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
What do you know? It's John and Pete and John on the two-sided podcast. It's Pete and John and Pete and the two-sided podcast. And another thing, how you fucking guys doing tonight, huh?
Another day in paradise.
Hey, Uncle Leo down there. How you doing? Yeah, here's a song for you. Can I ask you to smell my finger? Purple vein. Hey there, John. Hey there, Pete. Yeah. It's a John and Pete show. Yeah. Ha ha ha.
How are you doing?
Cover over many different stuff. Yeah. Very iterative stuff. Yeah.
Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. Thank you for tuning in.
I want to hear Pete's ragings
or opinion rather, or both, on the fact that Caitlyn Jenner won Woman of the Year, but she didn't lop it off. She's just doing the old nip and tuck. Apparently, Caitlyn Bruce decided that
Another thing
her
with
penis was
Dave.
in retirement, but Jesus has so many advocates that I just thought I would be the devil's advocate, you know?
I'm saying, I'm with you. Satan.
So I got to really thinking, I went and bought this muscle car and I was like, what? It's only got 245 wide tires on it. And I was like, really? Really? That's ridiculous right there. It's 500 horsepower right there. Should it have like 305, maybe 315s? Maybe 345s, 335s, like a Corvette. But no, they put 245s on there, and they didn't even put enough wheel well for a bigger wheel.
Yeah.
The wheel's just gotta stick out. Yeah.
We're learning so much about
what is that?
wheelbases.
Heck muscle, right? Yeah.
We're learning so much about
wheelbases and different things this show.
Speaking of white abalonists, it does seem to be mostly Caucasian people that go diving for abalone.
I don't know many abalone divers. I know a lot of actually Hawaiians who do open diving. I guess they're, I don't know, they're native. Hawaiian?
You know what Quakers and Ted Kaczynski have in common? The more I read about them, the more I appreciate them.
Saying, all you need is a cabin, a typewriter, a manifesto. Quakers are halfway there. They got that cabin. They got the beard. That's just accoutrement. You can pick one of those up at the store.
So anyway, hey, we're going to talk about Frederick Douglass for a while.
All right, buddy. I'm with you. Frederick Douglass it is.
This man is quite literally one of my favorite people in all of world history, of the history of people.
Here's what you should do. I'm just going to leave this up to you for next time. If you, with all this research, you find pictures of people, you should do slideshows of people you find. And if you don't have a picture of people, just put a picture of us up. You'll never believe what they look like.
Well,
Frederick Douglass, picture you.
That's a great thing, because actually I decided to start doing that for Frederick Douglass because the dude is so amazing. So here's a young picture of our boy Fred. And I'm going to just leave that on for a little bit, and then I'm going to take it off, and I got more pictures of him. I'm set up. And
I'm ready.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, we did not talk about this beforehand. It's not like he was scripted to say that at all. That's pretty awesome. Hey, we got a thing going on, Pete. We got a thing. We got chemistry.
Yeah, you just know I'm going to start yelling at you for things like, John, what would make your job better if you did this?
And I'm one step ahead of you. I mean, I'm not doing it most of the time, but I'm like, what would make my job better is if I did this. Anyway.
I'd probably get back to sleep. I'd probably fit in another 2-3 days before I have to wake up and do something.
My cat Royal's on the bed. We gotta go.
I gotta go.
Sorry, buddy. So Frederick Douglass was born in February of 1818 to enslaved woman Harriet Bailey in Talbot County, Maryland, and given the birth name of Frederick Augustus Washington Bailey by the plantation's owner. This was all, though this was always the month celebrated as his anniversary of his birth, slaves were never allowed to know their actual birth date because whites thought it would lead to reckless celebration and insubordination. So he could have just as easily been born in late 1817 or another month of early 1818. Douglas would later celebrate his birthday on the 14th of February.
Yeah, and later in life, it was the 14th, 15th, and 16th. He was a birthday hog. I knew that about him early on. It's my birthday month, says Frederick Douglass. He was the first one.
If he was, good. He deserves it.
All right, he deserves it. But still, no one else does. Everyone gets maybe 4 days. A long weekend, perhaps.
Max.
Ooh, yeah. If you're buying the trip, you get the week.
Yeah. And it better be good.
So help me God.
We're going to rural Ireland. No!
I'd go to Ireland for a week. Yeah, it's your birthday week. You know, I love you. Always have.
So Douglas spent his early childhood with his maternal grandmother, Betsy Bailey. This was merely a coincidence, as Betsy was in charge of caring for the enslaved infants in that area. It's not because she was his grandmother. It was just because that was her job. His mother, Harriet, was forced to work on a neighboring plantation and had to walk over 12 miles each way in order to see her child. They unfortunately only met a handful of times before she died when he was 7 years old. He described her as, quote, tall and finely proportioned, of dark, glossy complexion, with regular features, and amongst the slaves was remarkably sedate and dignified. He later learned she was the only black person in that county at that time who could read, having taught herself with the possible punishment of death should she be discovered. His father, actually, I want to give a moment to her because obviously she was an awesome person before I go on. But so, yeah, he saw her be whipped, and he only met her a handful of times after he was removed from her directly after his birth. And still she left such an impression on him that she was, I think, one of the initial driving factors of the rest of his life, what he went on to do. He's an amazing person. Like I said, one of my favorites, and we see a great source there.
Right on.
So his father, well, the only thing Douglas ever knew about his father was that he was white and of European descent. That's it.
All right. So let's take a moment for his father, because I think a lot of his upbringing, he's one of my favorite people, Frederick Douglass. And not a lot of it, you can take a lot away of what he did in his life from his father, because he was white European and abandoned him and then oppressed everyone around him. So that really has an effect on a child. Right? So let's give it up for the white European oppressors.
And
no,
rapists.
I mean, well, come on, John. Back then, you couldn't, it wasn't, no, morally, sure, but morally, everything's reprehensible, but legally, no, it wasn't legally wrong.
Oh,
I know
that you're actually correct.
I know,
Yeah.
It's horrible.
In that fashion, because they were just chattel, it was not considered rape. But
Right. No, that's what I'm saying at this point. So it's like, yeah, his mother was such a great influence because she showed him, here's determination. Here's something I'm driven for this goal. I'm going to better myself at the possible cost of death. I'm going to walk this far to see my boy only a handful of times, even if it results in me getting whipped. Okay, because it's determination. It's this moral fortitude. And hey, who's your dad? Oh, all the stuff that's happened to your mom that you're in the position, that's your dad. Everything around you is your dad.
Yeah.
Hey, how do you think that affects your upbringing? Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, John. Just saying.
Yeah.
Thanks, Papa.
And those around him, pretty much, I'm sure a lot of them knew, like his grandma, his mom, obviously, and no one told him. They're like, no, let's just remove him from history. Don't give him a name, even though he might be one of the names that I'm going to say in the next little bit. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. He doesn't get the credit for creating, being a partial creation of this amazing person.
Boo, John. I thought you were going to have more things like this is the Frederick Douglass Maury Povich show. You are not the father. Yeah. Gonna read the next thing. Oh shit, John, this is the one it is. This is the one it is. No, nothing like that. There's no envelopes. There's no paternity tests. Okay, all right. You can leave us hang on this one. Folks, this is where you let your minds wander, and we can all gather after the show and figure out who we think the most likely suspect is.
Right.
We'll compare notes.
Right.
Anyway, go ahead, John.
Actually, historians have guessed on that, but I wasn't going to. So at age 6, he was put to work at the W-Y-E house. Wee house, the Wee house. The house plantation of Colonel Lloyd, who is the boss of the man who originally claimed ownership of Douglas, Captain Aaron Anthony. Whee! Here, he was one of many other young enslaved children, all vying for food and any form of comfort they could scarcely receive. This didn't last long, though, as Douglas was, quote unquote, given to Lucretia Auld by Anthony. Anthony was not very rich and couldn't afford keeping Douglas. And so Lucretia's husband immediately sent him off to work for his brother and his brother's wife in Baltimore, Hugh and Sophia Auld. We're going to be with them for a little bit.
Oh, Hugh Auld.
Yeah.
Huge anus. Huge asshole. That guy.
Here, Douglas, though still very much enslaved, was given resources that would help him for the rest of his life. First, he was the only child working in their house, and he was around the same age as the child of the house owners. He, for a time, was even treated almost as an equal to their child, and the two grew up together almost as brothers. When Sophia would read aloud to the two, her boy would sit on her lap while Douglas sat on the floor at the foot of the chair, which was not uncommon at the time for children to do when they were read to by their parents. Sophia even began teaching Douglas how to read the Bible. As being a good Christian, she felt everyone should be able to read the words of the Lord.
All right. So her stupidity led her to do good for someone else. Okay, I'll let this one pass.
This abruptly stopped when her husband found out what she was doing, since teaching an enslaved person was then illegal. He scolded her in front of Douglas, perhaps thinking that he was that's a weird mistake that I did. I know what I wrote all this. This is all mine because I
cocksure.
No, he was too shy to start reading again. That this lesson that he was that the father scolding them, or not the father. The husband scolding the wife. He'd be like, right, yeah, he'd toe the line. He'd be like, oh, okay, well, obviously, if he yelled at her that much, what's he going to do to me? Because of this lecture given in front of him. But Douglas cites this moment as eye-opening. In a passage from his first memoir, quote, or his passage of his first memoir, which was called Narration of the Life of Frederick Douglass, which he published in 1845. Douglas pens the infamous phrase of "give him an inch and they'll take a mile." This is a paraphrase of what he actually penned, because the actual word was L, an antiquated measurement roughly equating a mile, when he quoted Hugh's rants.
I believe it was, "Give him an inch, they'll swim all over you."
Well,
Life up there, it's nothing like anything they got up there. You see, it's always greener in somebody else's lake. Didn't Frederick Douglass No, was he not little? Sorry, Sebastian was someone else.
Yeah, no, he was American born. Anyway, so an L, kind of a mile, right? Well,
Yeah,
that comes back later.
It's like a cubit.
Yeah, exactly. Right. A fathom, right?
A farthing.
Kopek, Kasek. Ah, bunk. The Kessel Run.
Oh, parsec?
Parsec. There you go. That's a measurement of time. Ah, we did it.
Less than 4 parsecs.
It's not a measurement of time. It's up to bunk. Okay, so he was quoting Hughes' rant, saying that if you teach them, referring specifically, teach them, then they'll want to read the newspaper filled with abolitionist thoughts and preachings, and that they'll keep wanting more. In the same passage of Douglas's, he said that Sophia then became even worse than her husband in the enforcement of no reading, snatching newspapers away from young Douglas, even when he was simply bringing them inside for her to read. He said the slave system hurt everyone involved, black and white and everyone. And seeing this kind mistress devolve into a tyrant was an example of that.
Yeah, okay. All right. No, it's no, I'm with it. But if she went downhill that quick, that bitch would have been evil for something else another year later.
Okay.
You're looking for an idea. I know, but and I'm not saying it's not bad, but it's like, he just pointed out that it was such a polarizing issue. It is where it separates wheat and chaff. Like there's no gray area. You're either are or aren't. You're for it or against. It's like one or the other. And at that point, she was on one side and got changed to the other. Right? She could have been, I don't know. She could have gotten into CrossFit later on, and she would have turned into a real fucking bitch. So who knows? You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, apartheid, the trials post-apartheid, I think were the first to kind of recognize this, that everyone had, the people who were just following orders have a form of victim, and that's what it was. It was illegal. She's a good Christian. It's illegal. This is my government. Of course I'm going to do this because I didn't realize how horrible it was. My husband set me straight. Right.
Right. Lucy, you got some splaining to do. Ooh, yikes. This is one of those kept in the vault episodes of I Love Lucy.
Right. Lucille Ball tabled that one real quick. Anyway, quote to end this little passage out. Quote, all this, however, was too late. The first step had been taken. Mistress, in teaching me the alphabet, had given me the inch, and no precaution could prevent me from taking the L.
Oh, I'm going to get that L. And that's a good thing back then. Today, it's not a good thing.
After 7 years with the Hughes, Douglas was sent back to the plantation, sent to a plantation of a cruel man, Edward Covey, to work in the fields and to teach him a lesson because he was starting to get a little questiony, a little resilient, a little defiant, and they didn't like that. And so at 16 years old, he had to go.
Right. I'm thinking about sending you to the Covey plantation here. To do the next show, John. You're getting a little fucking questiony, a little too much with me. If that's what you do, if that's what shakes people up, I'll send you to a Covey farm any day of the week, John. Figure this one out. So finish the story. Let's see how this ends.
He had already
learned lessons.
He already started to teach fellow enslaved people to read, and he was caught. And that was the big. That was the not the straw, because that's a huge thing, right? That broke the Hughes backs. So he was smart, self-educated, and knew he was meant for more. So he resisted at the Covey plantation. He was beaten, punished in other ways, and threatened with death or worse, being sold down the river to the deep south. He was also regularly whipped by Covey, and he was 16 when all this began.
Oof. Oof. Kobe's not a good dude.
No, Covey sucks.
It's right around 16 though. Like tell me some people who don't learn the real world at right around 16. If you have a hard life a little earlier, if you have a soft life a little later, but it's right around there, 15, 16, where you really like, ooh, get your first shock of, oh, this is the real world. Unfortunately, that was the real world that he lived in at that point. I'm like, oh shit.
And
like, oof.
And some people it would have destroyed. Many people
100%.
would have destroyed.
Yeah, just shut them down. Put them back in, oof. Oof.
But he continued to resist. He was resilient. And he continued to teach others to read. He studied anything he could get his hands on. And once he learned what the word abolition meant, he memorized any article that even mentioned it, always looking towards the moment he'd be prepared enough to escape.
That's awesome. It's determination, man.
Long game. The long game.
Right.
So at age 20, in 1838, Douglas was able to create papers to give him enough authority to flee Maryland via train and boat through the slave state of Delaware and finally to freedom at the safe house of abolitionist Dave Ruggles in New York City. Once settled, he sent for the love of his life, a freed woman named Anna Murray, and they were married in New York in September of 1838. They then moved to New Bedford, Massachusetts, and had 5 children together throughout their life together.
Okay. So he was where? He started where before he went to New York?
Well, he escaped from Maryland.
Maryland.
Yeah, from Maryland.
Okay. Maryland to New York. Okay. It's not too horribly far.
And before that, no, he was in different places in Maryland all before that.
Okay.
So in New Bedford, in Massachusetts now, fellow freed couple Nathan and Mary Johnson persuaded Douglas to take on a new surname to avoid capture. And the one they thought of was from the Sir Walter Scott poem, Lady of the Lake, Douglas. Many speculate that he was eager for this name because of the kind Scottish men who discovered him in the woods when he first escaped. And instead of returning him for reward, which would have meant his death, they helped him further along in his escape. They just arrived into America and they hated slavery. They didn't understand it. And they're like, wait, you are, no, that doesn't make any sense at all. You're going towards freedom, please. And they helped him with a boat. And that's what got him really, they didn't stop him when they could have. I'm not going to say they helped him and they're the only reason he escaped, but they could have stopped his escape right then. And they were super kind. He's like, these are the first kind white people I've ever met in my life.
We're not white, we're Scotsmen. There's a difference, boy. Aye, take the boat now. But we don't want to see him ever again.
So,
are you a Wookiee? Yeah, he's a Wookiee. Yeah, he's a Wookiee.
Let him win.
I'm a Steed. What are you doing?
Okay, so Douglas was in New Bedford, immediately inspired by the anti-slave weekly paper, The Liberator, owned and edited by William Lloyd Garrison. In 1841, he first heard Garrison speak live, and later wrote, I don't know why I had to say live, it's not like he heard him on the radio. Yeah.
No, he really did. You should see this motherfucker work. Sometimes he'd set up shop in the park and he just writing away his quill in that ink, and people are like, ooh, oh, ooh. And he'd stop for a second and pause, ponder, reflect. And they're like, I don't know if he's going to do it. He's going to do it. And then be like, water. He's like, I got it. Like, whoa. And he starts writing in like, whoa. And slow clap. And he finally finishes. It's like, that's what live writing was back then, John. You had to know somebody who knew his schedule for writing.
Oh, I was thinking more like he saw a rerun of his speech, which was some other person just going, and then he said, ha, da, ha, da, da. So Douglas later wrote about Garrison, quote, no face and form ever impressed me with such sentiments, the hatred of slavery, as did those of William Lloyd Garrison. Big influence on how to tackle and how to focus this hatred and try to stop it.
William Lloyd Garrison. Okay.
Yeah. A mentor of his early on.
Okay.
7 days later, Douglas read a prepared speech at the Massachusetts Anti-Slaver Society's annual convention in Nantucket. He blew everyone away. As you mentioned, you were 100% correct. Amazing orator, amazing speaker, would draw the crowd in like no other of his time, and I'm going to say since. Like he was just one of the greats. Was so amazing that he immediately was asked, before he left the island of Nantucket, asked to become a lecturer for the society for 3 years. They're like, dude, we need you. We're hiring you. We are hiring you right now on the spot. This solidified his lifelong path. And in 1845, his first memoir was published, focusing on his life as an enslaved person, his escape, and his first years living free. But he did not stop there. He ended up publishing another 6 versions of his autobiography, continually adding to what he'd been up to throughout the years, with the final publication, which was entitled The Life and Times of Frederick Douglass.
He was doing them in different styles. He did one was a manga, one was a coffee table pop-up book. Pretty awesome. Like when you have that much time on your hands, like you're perfecting your story. So good.
Yeah.
The life of times. The life and times. Life of times.
So that first one, and I'll bring it back up, is the picture that was used on the cover of the narrative of Frederick Douglass. I think I messed that up slightly, but his first one, right, in 1945. Then, by a little bit later, by this point,
this is a new computer. John's going to go to the wrong picture. It's going to be like some really thing inappropriate. Oh, okay, we're good.
This is what he looked like. So the fantastic hair that my boy Pete was talking about early on, people called it a lion's mane. Just this tuft of beautiful hair with leading into the goatee. At this point, he was starting to go a little gray, so he's all salt and pepper, doing fantastic, right? And this is when he started these speeches. This is when he really took off as a public figure in any way. So most material for this segment right now that I'm talking about comes from the life and times of Frederick Douglass, the last of his books and the most complete. The final publication was only a couple of years before his death, so it basically has his entire life in there. And with all that going on, all the speeches, all the press and publicity, Douglass even started his own abolitionist weekly paper, the North Star, after moving to Rochester, New York in 1848. That paper would exist in some form, later being called the Frederick Douglass Papers, until 1860. And he would also publish 2 more weekly periodicals throughout his life beyond that.
He also had a dance troupe. He did mime on the street in his spare time. He was big into capoeira. He was one of the first Brazilian fight dancers that was actually in the North. It was big in the South. early on. I don't know if you knew that, but little known facts, John.
Little known facts.
Yeah,
That's
well,
why.
everything-
That's why you're here.
Yeah, I'm gonna forgot where my book is, but I'll hold it up when I find it. Show you what I'm working with.
So during the next few years, Douglas had to escape slave catchers, having made too big a name for himself by going to Canada, which was easy living in Rochester at the time, and then the UK. At each place, he spoke to huge crowds. England, Ireland, Scotland, all across the UK. I don't know about Wales, but it's Wales. Not only about the end of slavery, but about equality for all, men and women alike, even Catholic and Protestant alike. He helped Belfast.
Whoa. Catholic and Protestant alike?
I don't know what you're talking about, laddie. I don't think it's going anywhere you think it's going. If you go down this road, I promise you, it won't end well.
They were at war constantly, especially in the city, but all throughout Northern Ireland. And he actually helped Belfast have a time of peace with his speeches and diplomacy between the two factions, and still has memorials in his honor for his work in Belfast and throughout the Irish Isle. Yes.
Really? I didn't know that. Huh. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
And throughout, you said throughout the Irish Isles. You sound kind of like general right there. Like, is there a big one we should go see?
Well, I was going to say Northern Ireland and Southern Ireland, or the Republic of Ireland, but like just Ireland, throughout all of Ireland, throughout the island of Ireland.
Island of Ireland. All right.
Belfast is a focus. That's where he was, where he did his diplomacy. That's where he celebrated the most, but all throughout.
Okay.
All right. I'll let you go this time. But next time, you better wash your ass, John. You don't taste kindly to people coming in here and telling us what to do.
Through these, and it's crazy because I think the next person that they celebrate to help with the Troubles is Bill Clinton. Literally over 100 years later.
Oh.
Or, I'm sorry,
guy.
American that they celebrate.
The best guys. Listen here, Bill, you can put that cigar anywhere you want. You're one of us, lad.
See, I mixed that up. Anyway.
20 years, no, through the years, these years, and
after
his return to the United States, having been, quote, bought and set free by female British patrons. So he was able to return without fear of capture because they literally bought him.
It's awesome.
Yeah, they just paid a lot of money because they're like, oh, wait, so it's literally like you're not free with this. You are free with this. We have the money. Yeah. Okay. We don't believe in this, but here you go. Whatever.
Yeah. But at that point, but he was married with the children at that point. So I was like, if you're mad about town and you're strolling around England, I can't.
Oh, no, you bought me. What are you going to do with me now? Oh, no, I don't think I should do that at all. I think I should probably mind my P's and Q's. And I guess I'll take off my trousers instead, if that's what my lady wants. My lady bought me proper.
Well, during this time and for the rest of his life, Douglas expanded his speeches from anti-slavery themes to women's rights, immigrant rights, and the protection of the impoverished, and more.
See, that was the bargain he made. They're like, all right, you can keep your trousers on, but you gotta fight for us. Oh, man. Okay.
Yeah, it was totally a bargain. It's like, oh, fine. I guess I'll do this the rest of my life.
Can I just take my trousers off instead? Would that be cool or no?
So, continuing the North Star, he also became a part of the Underground Railroad, smuggling other self-freed enslaved people out of the country, out of the dangers of the slave catchers from Rochester into Canada, as he had done himself.
Yeah, I'm saying. Yeah, we should start something like that. Like, take people out of Texas. It's okay. You can get out and sneak you out. Don't worry about it. Well, you come to Oregon, man. Mushrooms are legal up there, bro. Come on, it's safe. We'll hide you in the back of a Volkswagen van. You'll be fine. No one's even gonna search for you in there, bro.
No one even knows what a coyote is. We'll be fine. So the second version of his memoir was published in 1855, 10 years later, entitled My Bondage and My Freedom, which brought in challenges of racial segregation in the North. So he had focused so much on slavery and therefore kind of the South in his first version. He published that plus more, because he always was just expanding on it. It wasn't just doing a different thing. You didn't have to get it all, in parts. Just get the newest edition. But at that time, he was like, and also I went to New York and I couldn't go to this place because I was black, and I couldn't do that because I was black. Though they say they're anti-slavery, they're pro-segregation, and that is also wrong. And so he started lashing out at everybody because they were wrong.
Huh. Really interesting. When I search for My Bondage and My Freedom, I'm getting a lot of different hits here, and I've ordered 2 books, one for you, one for me. They're business expenses that we're ordering them during the show, right, John?
Exactly.
They're coffee table books. They're classy. Has nothing to do with Frederick Douglass. I'll be honest.
Are they all written by Julie Prunes?
What? Oh, man.
Nothing. Moving on. In 1852, Douglass was asked to speak about the 4th of July, having been given the question, quote, what to a slave is the 4th of July? And on the 5th of July that year, he gave one of his most famous and long-standing speeches. So it was super long. I grabbed a couple of chunks, just 2, but yeah.
Hey, John, this is the time you got to read the room. You're like, it's super long. I only grabbed a couple chunks. In John's world, that means 4 pages or something. So let's, you know what? You do you. We know he's a good speaker. We know he gives good things. All right. Yeah, no, I'm sorry. I'm gonna let you finish.
He had thousands of people in his audience. Almost all of them were white. This was normal for him at this point. And so this is the first speech that he really just rails. Quote, what to the American slave is your 4th of July? I answer, a day that reveals to him more than all other days in the year the gross injustice and cruelty to which he is the constant victim. To him, your celebration is a sham. Your boasted liberty an unholy license, your national greatness swelling vanity, your sounds of rejoicing are empty and heartless, your denunciations of tyrants brass-fronted impudence, your shouts of liberty and equality hollow mockery, your prayers and hymns, your sermons and thanksgivings, with all your religious parade and solemnity are to him mere bombast, fraud, deception, impiety, and hypocrisy, a thin veil to cover up crimes which would disgrace a nation of savages. That was the first of 2.
Woo! fuck? Went hot.
Yeah, that was early on too.
That was awesome. That was awesome.
The second one's a little shorter, and this is about halfway through his speech. Quote, this 4th July is yours, not mine. You may rejoice, I must mourn. To drag a man in fetters into the grand illuminated temple of liberty and call upon him to join you in joyous anthems were inhumane mockery and sacrilegious irony. Do you mean, citizens, to mock me by asking me to speak today? If so, there is a parallel to your conduct. And let me warn you that it is dangerous to copy the example of a nation whose crimes, towering up to heaven, were thrown down by the breath of the Almighty, burying that nation in irrevocable ruin. I can today take up the plaintive lament of a peeled and woe-smitten people. And then right after that, he started quoting the Bible. By the rivers of Babylon, there we sat down. Yea, we wept when we remembered Zion. And he kept on going.
Ooh. Ooh. But then people just sat there and ooh. Ooh. God damn. That's shit, man.
Good on him. Good on him.
Ooh, right? Take some balls. It takes some balls to talk like that. To talk like that anytime. But when you're in that position, in front of those people, granted, he's been doing this for a long time, but still, like it takes balls to come in that high and not let go. And
it was 11 years since he gave his first public speech. So yeah, he'd been doing it for a little bit, right? He'd published the one memoir. A couple years later, would publish the second one. So like he was right around that. He just came back from England, and just like the triumph.
Right,
they were with him. He knew they were with him, but he also knew he was railing into them.
Right. It's kind of like how you have to sit back and listen to me after every fucking show on Thursday. I'm with you, John.
I know you're with me.
I'm not going to fucking lay off. I'm going to let you know exactly every single time that you fucked up, John. Oh, I know I did this, John, but listen what you did. This is what you need to do better, John. I'm with you. You're so good.
We are going to do a shot right now because I want to do a shot. So we did a shot to his hair. Let's just do a shot to his speeches. This is a shot to Frederick Douglass's speeches.
Yeah. All right. You're still going on Frederick Douglass?
Oh, for a little bit. No, have been so excited for this. I'm sorry. We're going to take our time with it. Chink.
Okay.
Cheers, everybody.
Keep going, buddy. It's 9:30 now.
Yeah. I planned accordingly. Trust me, bro.
I actually rarely do. So I just want that to be in the record. I'm going to have the court stenographer type that one out very slowly. Could you read that one back? My boy Pete does not trust John L. Peacock. Okay.
So Garrison, remember him?
Keeler.
Was a mentor of Douglass early on.
Yes.
But his views were much more radical. He denounced the church, even the Union of the USA. He was saying that they should just completely separate from the South. And the Constitution, he said it was a complete slave document and irrevocable and had to be completely destroyed. The only way to eliminate the stench of slavery was to burn it all down. Douglass was not naive, but knew that building it up, uniting the South to the North, and cooperating between white and black people was necessary to heal the self-inflicted wounds of the country. And he believed in the Constitution, especially that it could be amended. This led to bitter arguments between the two that lasted into the Civil War.
Really? So those two started beefing because he was saying, no, we need to heal, we need to grow.
And he's like, screw the South, get rid of them, let them do their own thing. Let's just cut ties. Let's get rid of the Constitution. Let's create a new one and just start all over.
Build the wall. Ugh. We had a wall builder back then.
So another radical, but one that slightly more aligned with Douglas and was a friend of Douglas was John, not Smith, but Brown. John Brown. John Brown!
John Brown. I knew that. John Brown.
Who also had the views of bloodshed being the only way to eliminate slavery, but not with the destruction of the Constitution and the dissolution of the Union, but with war. He came to Douglas to ask if Douglas would join the band of men who were going to take Harper's Ferry, a stronghold in Virginia of the Southern Army, which would have been used to arm the enslaved so that they could free themselves with the blood of the South's elite. Douglas,
I see nothing wrong with that,
fortunately, declined and did not join them, sparing his life, and Garrison considered it a mistake.
Yeah. Yeah, Garrison did not like that.
No. So this is 1858. And John Brown did take Harper's Ferry and did fight and was captured, quote unquote, and federally tried, which means the North allowed it to happen. Obviously, the South were in Virginia, especially, were the main people who tried him, and he was hanged for treason.
Right.
And the little hymn I keep on doing.
They have dreamt and do see with it. Troops are marching on. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Teacher hit me with the ruler. I keep doing
the grapes, yeah.
And the great, yeah, okay.
So the original
wrath
restored, yeah. The original lyrics of that were John Brown's a body lies da 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 da. It was called John Brown's Body, and it was a Union rallying song to help them win the war.
I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, he's another great guy. He was insane. He was freaking insane. Anyway, so the attack became a statement, and especially the trial and the kangaroo trial and hangings afterward became a statement that war between the North and South were imminent, and so war began. From April's 1861 to 1865, more Americans were lost to war than most other wars combined. Disease and infection took most of them. Bullets and bayonets took most of the rest.
Yeah. No, that war. Are you going through the whole war?
No.
Nope. You just like, and then the war.
Nope. This is Douglas. Yep. That's basically that's it. Because it's like we could do 5,
like the whole thing, yeah, easy. Yeah. The thing about that, I didn't understand how bad when we went to Gettysburg and did the whole tour and did all through the stuff and did the museums and did whatever. You know, you go through and see the walls that haven't been touched. They're still like the stone walls that are lined up there. There's still like marks that you see like scars on trees, but there's in the museum there's giant tree. Stump of a giant tree that was cut through with bullets, like because there's so many flying. There was also two round bullets that hit right on and fused together because it was so thick with ammo going back and forth that two bullets actually hit in that. I mean, it was just so thick with battle. Like it was just I never understand exactly how gruesome and awful it was. Like, oh yeah, you cut down trees with fucking lead balls. Huh. That's pretty fucked up.
Was the Gatling gun invented at that
No.
point? Because I knew it was in World War One, but
Yeah, no.
oh wow, oh that's insane. So it wasn't just the what is that the
Yeah, yes, the muskets, the
muskets. Holy
the
crap!
So you're doing fires like that, but you also have the pistols that are like the black powder
Right.
rifles, black powder pistols. But yeah, there's no like.
It's all single shot.
Yeah, all single shots. You can have a few of them.
So Abraham Lincoln, you might know that guy. He begged Douglas.
Blinken. 5.
He begged Douglas to meet with him so they could find a way to turn the tides of the bloody war. They met several times, and Douglas insisted that the only way a black army would rise in the Union was if Lincoln denounced slavery on a federal scale. This directly led to the Emancipation Proclamation. And directly after that, Douglas put out in his North Star a call I'm sorry, it wouldn't be the North Star. I just realized that's wrong because it was the next one. I have a name for that later. But anyway, in the next paper, a call for all freed black men to join and for all enslaved black men to find a way to get to the North and join the Union Army. They heard the call and heeded the call. Hundreds joined the Union, which indeed changed the tide and helped secure a Union victory and the end of slavery. And so that's what he was not accredited to, which was the Emancipation Proclamation.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, it was the Abe Lincoln thing. Emancipation Proclamation.
Yep. So you know a lot. Like, I love that he seeps into your bones. Even you haven't heard his name in a little while, and you were able to bring up a lot of great things about him. Good on you.
Yeah, see, okay, all right. He did some good shit, man. There's very few people like that who are that determined in life who see something and go for it like that. You know,
Yep.
That tenaciously.
So the famous 54th Massachusetts Volunteer Infantry was the first squadron made up of black Americans and was completely the result of Douglas's call. 2 of his sons even signed up for that infantry. And when they weren't being paid properly, Douglas put a stop to that inequality by going directly to the president and said, hey, remember our deal? What are you doing? He's like, that wasn't me. I don't know what happened. But everything was corrected and they got their money.
Yeah. Do you remember that? What was it Glory? Yeah, Glory with Matthew Broderick and Denzel Washington of the first Black Battalion or whatever I don't know if it was well, it could have been. I need to go back and watch that again.
I haven't seen it. Is it Civil War or is it World War One? Because they have
it's Civil War.
Oh, so it'd be the 54th, yeah.
Yeah. No, okay. Like you haven't seen The Glory?
No.
Are you kidding me? Matthew Broderick, bro.
Matthew Broderick, bro.
Come on.
Save Ferris,
if you have
man.
the means, I highly recommend. He was Abe Froman. The Sausage King of Chicago, John. You should see him leave.
He was
the
a freshman.
He's great.
So Douglas was invited to Lincoln's second inauguration in early 1865, and thus became the first black person invited to a president's inauguration party. The greeter initially did not accept his invitation. Racism. But Douglas didn't back down. After his credentials were checked, they asked him to come in through the back door. And instead, he went right in and was through the front door and was warmly greeted by Lincoln and others. This was roughly a month before Lincoln's assassination.
Yeah, man. That's
Yeah.
No, I got a goddamn invite. I'm coming to the fucking front door. I dare you to stop me. And this was back then when anyone could go to the front door. Like, the parties would be like, just come on, open house. People would just show up.
Yeah. And and he had the invitation to the inauguration. He had everything, and the guy's like, "This can't be right. You're black. That's never happened before." And he's like, "Do you know who I'm Frederick Douglass." He's like, obviously he knew who Frederick Douglass was. He had written several autobiographies. He was a champion of so much. He had been speaking for 30-ish years.
Nope, don't know you. Never heard of you.
I don't know, 25 years, yeah.
No, keep your fucking walking there, pal. Don't know you.
Yeah, screw that guy.
Sorry, Val, we're at capacity. You just let those chicks in. Yeah, they're all Frederick Douglass too. You can keep on walking there, Chief.
After the war, Douglass was in some way involved in a series of post-war amendments that sought to finally bring about equal citizenship. The 13th Amendment, ratified in 1865, abolished slavery. 14th, in 1868, granted national birthright citizenship. And the 15th Amendment, ratified in 1870, stated nobody could be denied voting rights on the basis of race, skin color, or previous servitude.
It's good on him. All right.
Oh, he lives in D.C. at this point.
Okay.
So after a fire destroyed Douglas's Rochester home in 1872, along with most of the printings of the North Star, big loss. Douglas, we still have some, but not all, unfortunately. Douglas and his entire family moved to Washington, D.C. and started a new press, the New National Era. He attended the inauguration party of Rutherford B. Hayes, who appointed him the first Black U.S. Marshal in 1877. He served in that position until 1881, when President James Garfield appointed him as the first Black Recorder of Deeds for the District of Columbia. Though it seems less than the first position, it was extremely well-paid post.
Yeah, and yes, Marshal. What is the Marshal? What is that? Like law enforcement Marshal?
Yeah.
Okay, so he's like the early Steven Seagal or Shaq. We're like, yeah, you're a marshal in Florida. Here you go, Shaq. You're an honorary marshal there, Frederick Douglass. And now you're a recorder of deeds.
Attorney General is kind of an evolution of U.S. Marshal.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And again, it's a lot of paperwork. He's not in the courts, but he is the top. He's what people report to.
Okay.
So then,
so honorary title.
Yeah, not honorary, and big deal being okay. So each of these, he's the first Black American. So U.S. Minister. I'm sorry. So that was a well-paid post. So helped him out a lot. And yes, he was also attended the inauguration of a party of Garfield. And in 1889, Douglas was selected by President Benjamin Harrison as the U.S. Minister Resident and Consul General to the Republic of Haiti.
All right, John, we got a lot to unpack there. You just got to, well, you say you don't look at the camera, so you don't even see you can't see where I'm trying to make eyes at you. Like, hey, give me a second, give me a thing. Nope. He was invited to the inauguration of Garfield. Hoping it wasn't on a Monday. He was also on Rutherford Behaves. Rutherford Behave, John. Like, and what was the third one? He was on the thing.
Benjamin Harrison.
In Haiti, he said, I thought about using a condom, but I figured, when am I going to be in Haiti again? Not for this inauguration.
Wow, I'm so glad we got all those jokes in there.
I know. If I hold them up inside, I'll explode, John. You know how it works.
So that made him the
shark.
first.
I have to keep swimming. I'm an idiot. I have to keep on saying stupid things. Either way.
That made him the first Black United States ambassador. Yeah, he also went to Harrison's party. But Harrison wanted to use Douglas to get a refueling station for the U.S. Navy in the port town of Moulins Saint-Nicolas. So he resigned the position in 1891 and returned home. So he lived in Haiti from 89 to 91. But he came back to D.C. after that.
Okay. They learned a lot. He grew a lot.
Pioneered a lot. And, in 1888, he became the first Black American to receive a vote for President of the United States during the Republican National Convention. Ultimately, though, Benjamin Harrison received that party nomination.
Yeah, that's very Harrison move of him.
So I just went through all of his political stuff. It's a huge amount. I could focus on it. Again, it would take so much time. We're coming to the end. So now I'm going to talk about his personal life.
Okay, here we go.
August 4th of 1882, Anna Marie Douglas died in the home after suffering a stroke. Remember, love of his life. Douglas married Helen Pitts in 1884, 2 years later. His white secretary, who was about 20 years younger than Douglas.
Get it, Freddie, baby! Get it, Freddie, baby!
As you can possibly conceive, this marriage was controversial for its time.
What you talking about, Freddie? I'm just talking about tapping that secretary ass.
Helen Pitts.
We call her Miss Pitts where I'm from. God damn, Miss Pitts. You looking fine as hell.
And this resulted in the Douglas's temporary estrangement from some friends and family. He writes about, I know, He writes about this in the final publication of his autobiography, saying his biggest sin was falling in love. And at this point, I'm going to show our lovely people on YouTube.
Right, said his biggest sin and what he learned, biggest sin was falling in love, and it is hoes before bros, if those hoes mean more than those bros.
So this picture of him now with all silver streaked hair, still the beautiful mane, with the goatee spread out to a wonderful beard, is the also on the picture of his, on the cover of his final autobiography, The Life and Times of Frederick Douglass. So he writes about this, and he said, saying his biggest sin was falling in love. He had been faithful and ever loving to his childhood sweetheart and the mother of his 5 children, but he did not die when she did, and he eventually found new love. The fact that it was a white woman made so many lose their minds. He married in Washington, D.C., one of the few places in the U.S. at the time where interracial couples could legally marry. Relationships were restored, especially with his children, before he died.
If you were mad about this, you would be furious about the stank ass I picked up on the way to find her. 2 years of trolling on the speech circuit. I swung my dick through some gutters of this nation. I will let you know I picked up many things I did not regret, and many more that I did.
So
when I'm blind, drunk, I see no color, or gender, or reason to not have another drink. Speaking of which,
and we're at that point. Let's have a shot to Frederick Douglass himself, the man, the myth, the legend. Because I am coming up to the end of this.
No, I think you're right there, man. I think you're done. I think you're good. Call him the fuck machine that he was. Man, I get down. Why I gotta be hate on the player? Don't hate the player, hate the game, baby. Frederick Douglass. Cheers.
Like the very first famous interracial marriage in the United States of America. I know it wasn't the first, but I'm pretty sure it was the first famous one.
All right, yeah. First, yeah. You're like Us Weekly. Really good. You're doing really good.
Okay,
Extra.
So to wrap it up, before Douglass's death, he was the keynote speaker at the National Council of Women. And there he gave a speech calling for the women's vote in U.S. politics. He had been one of the first statesmen to publicly do so, helping to draft the constitutional amendment in 1878. But this would not actually come to fruition for another 25 years after his speech. It was the 19th Amendment. And this speech was his last, as he suffered a heart attack on his way home from the convention. Douglass died in his Cedar Hill home on February 20th, 1895. After his death, Helen Pitts Douglass established the Frederick Douglass Memorial and Historical Association to preserve his legacy. She bequeathed the home and its belongings to the organization in her will. Cedar Hill became part of the National Park System in 1962 and was designated the Frederick Douglass National Historic Site in 1988. The U.S. Library of Congress digitized its holdings of Douglass's papers, which include letters, speeches, and personal documents.
Awesome. Cool dude. He loved love. He was a player.
No. So let's just go through it. Okay, obviously anti-slavery, equal rights for Black Americans, equal rights for women, equal rights for immigrants, equal rights for the poor over the rich. He spoke it, but he also lived it, as he married a white woman, not through any controversy whatsoever, but his wife had died, and 2 years later, he fell in love and remarried. She happened to be 20 years younger and white, but whatever. He's like, I just fell in love. I don't care. That's what happened. I'm 70 something. She's 50 something. Whatever. And his last act on this earth was speaking for the women's vote. That didn't even happen until 25 years later, which he with the amendment that he helped write some years before.
That's a pretty good summation, Sean. Let me just fill in some blanks that you cease to see. Isn't it ironic, don't you think? Such a ladies' man goes to a ladies' conference, gets a mysterious heart attack on the way home. Vote never takes place, John. Isn't it ironic, don't you think?
A little too ironic.
She meets the Frederick Douglass of her dreams, and then meets his beautiful 50-something-year-old white wife. Isn't it ironic? Don't you think?
Well, at the National Women's Convention, all of them were white. Unfortunately, they were still segregating even back then.
It's like rain. Frederick Douglass's day. Oh.
And I want you to know that this is something I've been wanting to talk about. Any class I've ever taught, I've brought him up in some way, at least for a day, for half a semester.
That's why.
And I was surprised that I had to look back to make sure that I hadn't talked about him before.
That's why you haven't gotten called back to a lot of those schools. So like he just goes off. This was Jim. This was just trying to teach him dodgeball. It's like, you know what? Frederick Douglass had to run from dodging balls, and when he was moving from Maryland to Maryland, everybody run.
They got stuck in his hair. It was called a mane. Yeah, it was fantastic.
Right. Pretend the ball is a 50-year-old white woman and you're Frederick Douglass in your 70s. Everyone trying to catch the ball and hold on to it. Wait, what?
Fell in love.
The weird way of telling the kids to play catch there, John. I'm just trying to bring Frederick Douglass into the whole thing. Maybe they'll fall in love with catch. Like he did the 50-year-old white woman.
Dude spoke before Parliament in the 1800s when that's
George
not
Clinton
really a thing.
and the P-Funk.
Helped with
Atomic
the troubles.
Dog. Yeah.
Staved off the Irish Civil War for another 40 years. Holy crap!
Fought off the Indians, the cowboys, and the aliens.
I love him so much.
It's amazing. He's the first one who learned how to break dance.
He is the first woman who learned how to break dance.
I say he's also the first one, but yeah, but first we'll go first one.
All right. That's it. All right, I'll fawn on him forever. So we've just got to move on. You want to grab those messages?
Yeah, John, I really actually do.
So I'm gonna guess. Well, all right. I do know a lot about history, but I'm gonna go just a wild guess right here. Quakers, the what? Pennsylvania, maybe Ohio. I'm gonna say majority, probably those two areas. As far as I've done when it comes to research to that, but yeah. Those old-fashioned oats, those Quaker oats? Oh, man, that's definitely delicious right there. Yeah, but not to get off subject here, but we're talking about Quakers, and wait, Pennsylvania. Wait, my grandpa from Czechoslovakia, he was raised by nuns over there in Pennsylvania. There I go, getting off the subject again. But hey, you know what? We're covering a lot of stuff out here. Learning it.
Grandpa, look out for the nuns. Get to the monastery.
Good morning, guys and gals. How's everybody doing? Well, it's freaking 20-mile-an-hour winds blowing out here at my house, shaking my house around and stuff, and it's good though. It's good. Maybe it's cleansing. I don't know. Maybe it's just aggravating my allergies. I can't decide. I'm up in the air. It's like my roots are blonde or something. I don't know.
Maybe it's made blue.
Anyways, good to see y'all.
Good to see you too, girl. Always a pleasure. Stay warm in that wind. Don't stay out of that allergy season, you say.
Okay, so guys, I need to ask you a really kind of a serious question. I don't know, maybe it's just me in the way that I think, but I relate, and this is only if you really like wrestling, right? I consider the suspension of WCW, that's like supporting the Confederate Army and being the South.
Yes.
So, is it the South? I don't know, but anyway, the South. So therefore, when it comes to oh yeah, you know, oh we don't like the South, we don't like the South. Yeah, but the South lost, so therefore, you like it or lump it, you know,
Right.
just South. So for that reason, I mean, you should love it that the North won and everything, and America the Great, you know, that's like the
Right. It's the same thing. It's like when they, yeah, know exactly what you're saying. When they separate and they have
bulls, and not just any bulls, Red Bulls.
Muse lover, it's so good to see you, brother. Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure. We're now on live on the YouTubes. So if anyone here is watching, we're on the YouTubes. John is looking at our YouTube chat comments things all the time. He's always also writing that in his novels and his things. We're doing all of the work, but we're here. We're great. Happy everyone's here. We're good to see. Happy to see you. If you're not watching live, you can watch us on our YouTube channel, Two-Sided Pod, same as our Spotify, our Instagram, Apple Music, Amazon Music, Patreon, all that good stuff. Or you can DM John. He'll be happy to fucking walk you through it, or he'll call you at home. We'll go step by step. We'll do a Zoom meeting with you. He'll show up at your house and talk you through it. He'll somehow throw in a Frederick Douglass anecdote along the way. Yeah, I dare you. It'll be rough, but you'll learn.
Slip into my DMs.
Whoa!
Queens in the chamber. Dub C Dub. My boy Pete.
What up, brother?
There he is. Still, way too sober. John L. Peacock, Esquire. So let it be written, so let it be done. Serious and fun. Ragings. Let's do it.
Always good to hear from you, man. Always a great soundtrack. Always, I feel like I was playing with you. I don't know if you play Call of Duty. I was playing with some buddies the other night, and we teamed up with someone who just had chill fucking vibe music in the background, and it was the best. Like I don't care what we're doing. It was very hypnotic. Like I don't give a shit. I'm just gonna follow this dude around. Wherever you go, I'm gonna follow you around. You don't have to shoot me. Let's just sit in this LTV. I'll smoke weed while we do it. Let's just sit in this truck and smoke, man. Very hypnotic.
Speaking of hypnotic.
And you think we're not drunk enough. Shame on you. Speaking of hypnotic, should we do a shot?
I was going to say hit that message, but yeah, sure.
I'm going to do that too. Bink,
cheers.
Bink.
Thanks for listening, everybody.
Ooh.
Random question. Can you guys talk about A-Frame more? Because I love Ferris Bueller. That shit rock.
I'm so glad that you love. The Ferris Bueller is one of my favorite movies.
Yeah.
Like, and the whole Abe Froman. Could you describe him for me? Well, he's wearing a white T-shirt. On 5'8". Dashy good looks, leather jacket.
I just the sequence when Bueller is at the end jumping over all the backyard fences,
Right.
and it to that beautiful soundtrack. I thought that was created for the show, and I was very wrong. I'm sorry to anyone who's a fan of the English beat, because that is a song called Turning Heads, and it has so many lyrics, but they took out any part that had lyrics and just had that end part, which is a it's fantastic.
So good. So good. So good. Yeah, no, fantastic movie.
The punk
We're
ska
gonna just
band
go to-
Save Ferris is based off of all the little Easter eggs of people actually
Right,
writing Save Ferris.
Right, and the water tower and the little thing.
Oh.
I hear that you've been feeling flu, headache, fever, and the chills. I'm here to help restore your pluck because I'm the nurse who likes to.
Let's hit those messages and move on.
I know this thing gets you drunk. I am.
Is it not having? What you? Officer, I said you didn't want to come back here no more. Why are you coming back? Hey, I grew your mustache for you, officer. We're twinsies. Kissies. Nope. All right. I love that.
I close my eyes and it takes me back to first year's day off. Thank you.
We'll keep calling. Okay. Go. Pardon my French. Hammer's so tight. If you shove a piece of coal up his ass, in 2 weeks you have a diamond. Delicious.
My favorite part.
Hey, girl. What up, girl?
Turn heads. You know what should have turned heads?
What's that?
I don't know. A strange balloon in the sky for 8 days. That should have turned anybody's head. But Americans, we thought, oh, look at the balloon in the sky. It's so pretty. I'm in the corner.
All right. We thought it was a promotion for It 3. We saw the marking on the white balloon. We're like, I don't know, man. What's Hollywood up to these days? I want a part of that shit.
They'll keep calling. So we just got to jump into our next lightning round.
Yeah.
It's awesome. I think we've all gained a friend and lost an enemy.
Turn a corner.
Baby steps, baby. Baby steps.
So this lightning round segment is one of your favorites and mine. That's right. It is movies, summaries, and reviews.
Okay, I got this one. Yeah. No, you guys stick with me. Trust me on this one. Trust me. Let me hold your baby. Let me hold your trust. Let me hold your checkbooks. I'm very trustworthy when this comes to town. Stay with me. John, tell them what the game's about, buddy.
Well, the game is I'm going to give my boy Pete actual titles of movies, and my boy Pete is going to give us a summary and a review of it. He watches, for those who don't know, he watches a lot of movies. He has watched a lot of movies. I go for the obscure. I go for the crazy. I think many times I'm going to stump him and he has not actually seen it. And so he's going to give a false summary, a false review. But many, many times he is spot on and it's insane. So for those who care and those who want to play, I realize this game hasn't always been the best as for participants. But if you want to, listen to his summaries, listen to his reviews. Let us know whether you believe he is telling the truth or lying. I will keep tally, and I will let people who know who won at the end. So far, my boy Pete has won every single one except for the last one. Last one, they all got you, my boy Pete. They all got you.
That's true. That's true.
They
knew
knew when you knew. They knew when you didn't know.
Yeah, but okay, you're right. But I think, all right, don't throw that in my face. I think y'all are fucking me up if you get in my head like this. I didn't know it was that kind of game.
All right, I
I would come correct. All right.
Card ready. All right. So, I repeat. Are you ready?
Oh, I'm so ready. Bring it. Come on.
The first movie is They Shoot Horses, Don't They? Question mark. That classic 1969 film, They Shoot Horses, Don't They?
This is one that I actually have not seen all the way through because I couldn't handle it. It was so dumb. I thought it was going to be some kind of a horror something, but it was about fucking racehorses, training racehorses, and a trainer who ends up, it's like is a pre-knockoff of the Black Beauty before Black Beauty was Black Beauty. I truly don't know. I don't know the whole thing, but I can tell you it's that, and it's not good. Like I had to stop watching it. So if you believe me on that I know it's that good and that bad, then believe that. That's true.
If you'd like to say that my boy Pete actually saw this film, chime in now with 101.1. And if you believe he is a whole lot of BS for watching half a film and not liking it, chime in with 101.2. All right, next film.
2 XXOO2
There were so many zeros and ones, and I thought there might have been a 2. No.
No.
2 doesn't exist.
We're a whole binary house here, folks. We don't fuck with 2s. We're zeros and ones, possibly ones and zeros. But
I kind of feel if this ever came on your radar, you definitely watched it just from the title alone. So this next film is Fertilize the Blaspheming Bombshell. That wonderful 1992 film, Fertilize the Blaspheming Bombshell.
Was it 92? Is that how early it was? For some reason, I thought it was because it was okay. I do those ones very well. It's a trauma film. It's a horror film that is a knockoff. That is it's a religious group that's a cult in the deep south that takes anyone who doesn't believe and sacrifices or uses them in one way, shape, or form. And the women have to be used to be fertilized. They have to be for the Lord's work, as it were. So, and do you like horrible, be real horror films? Because if you do, it's a fucking rough one. If you don't, it's even worse.
Yeah, I love those trauma films. That's what you said, right? It was a trauma film.
It was, I think it was trauma. Yeah.
So for those who don't know, what is trauma?
It's a whole film studio company. It's a whole, what is his name? Harvey. They Toxic Avenger.
That was their main one, right? Oh yeah,
Romeo and
Juliet. Yeah.
They've done so many.
They're great. They're campy. They're obvious campy. They're going for a theme. They're going for a genre.
Yeah, but it's like, hey, have you ever seen a head explode close up? Well, you're going to see it in this film, but it's not real and not real good. You're going to see all the work they put into it.
The blood will be pinkish.
The budget of this movie was like $10,000, and they used $1,000 on this head.
Yep. I know that Dead Alive is not a trauma film, but it should be.
Right.
Like it's in that same
It's
vein.
almost there. It feels like that, yeah.
Yeah. So if you feel that Fertilize the Blaspheming Bombshell was seen by my boy Pete in the trauma world, let us know. And if not, let us know. All right, next one. The Tale of the Voodoo Prostitute. This is the 2012 horror flick, The Tale of the Voodoo Prostitute.
I don't like that you're doing all these horror movies, John. Like you're doing. because it makes me like, 'cause I always say I don't watch horror films, but now it's like things like this. Okay, I do, because I don't feel like they're horror films.
Yeah, totally.
This is a Haitian from a Haitian family. She is I believe it was in New York. I want to say or Chicago, but I want to say New York. It was somewhere downtown, and it's like little Haiti in the Haitian neighborhood, and she was just ever good. But there was like a killer in the town who was, and so she became like it killed one of her friends, and so she became vengeful and started killing people, killing Johns, and doing like taking vengeance on everything. Yeah.
How'd you like it?
Not good. I'm not a big fan of those movies. I end up watching it for stupid reasons, but no, I don't like it.
You know how we do.
Once you start something, you got to finish it, unless it's about horses, and you can't shoot them, can you?
So that was the tale of the voodoo prostitutes. Chime in now. Everybody's chiming in. 1,000 people have chimed in already. Let your voice be heard.
Right, it's all in the chat on YouTube. Right. So.
And finally, the 2022 film, The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. That horror film, 2022 horror film, The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent.
Oh, yeah. No, because it's horror, because real. John enjoys himself so much. What makes me laugh is when John laughs, because John's like a 4-year-old who cries, like who just gets excited about things and like thinks they're funny. The garbage truck doesn't come on Thursdays; it comes on Friday.
Yes.
And he goes with like, man, he's so excited about that garbage truck joke. No, it's a it's a true horror movie. Really true to look at it, because it's a self in realization of that one does at one point that you don't want to do, the self introspection that you see what the unbearable weight of this massive talent truly is on oneself. It's a play within a play within a play within a play. A famous movie star plays a famous movie star playing the self-realization of a famous movie star who has to become a better person to be a better movie star. No spoiler, it's there. Has he seen it? Has he not? I loved it.
Okay, so it wasn't quite a horror. I was just going on a theme.
Not as much as a voodoo zombie prostitute.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we got one message. It may or may not actually be involved in what we're talking about right now. But if you would like, we're going to give a couple more seconds. They shoot horses, don't. And no vote on the last one. So, like I was saying before we actually revealed any of the votes, my boy Pete, is that we'll give a few more seconds for people to chime in. They Shoot Horses, Don't They? 1969. Fertilize the Blaspheming Bombshell, 1992. The Tale of the Voodoo Prostitute, 2012. And The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent, 2022. Has he seen them or not? I guess we got one more Maybe one more can chime in, and then that's that. All right, your vote has been tallied. Anyone else want to chime in? I'm going to give a little bit of shout outs. I'm going to give some shout outs.
I'm going to say words that mean nothing because I like to say words that mean nothing. I'm going to say salutations and godunks to.
Earlier, Nunya was on our YouTube saying, yo, Spondy,
See?
yes.
See? Spondies. There
Julie,
you go.
yay. I multitask, I watch and listen. Thanks, Julie.
John? John doesn't.
Joey, the band is Yellow.
Here he comes. See? Finally, Joey's here. See, that's why you got to be watching, John. God damn, we need an engineer. Okay.
And I'm going to call it. That is that. So we have the votes. It's all from one person, and that doesn't matter. Hey, my boy Pete.
It's
First
all
movie.
sugar and spice and nothing ever nice.
They shoot horses, don't they? Question mark. Have you seen it?
No.
Oh, no. One for you. Fertilize the blaspheming bombshell. Have you seen it?
No.
One for them.
I don't watch horror movies, John.
The Tale of the Voodoo Prostitute. Have you seen it?
No, but I could write that movie right now, but no. It's Haitian.
And finally, The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. Have you seen it?
Yes, I have.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have a tie.
That means tie goes to the me. Tie goes to my boy Pete. That's how it is in baseball. Like, you've seen it. He's safe or out or fuck you guys or whatever the symbol is. I get it. And my streak is solid. Julie Proves comes down and starts fucking my record up on these movie things. John starts going on to horror flicks to stack the deck against me. Why is everybody against me, John? Why are you part of the problem and not part of my solution? You're a German.
And that leads us to our final segment of the episode. I think we need to do a shot at that point.
Plan of night that I warn you. It's a school night. Daddy has class in the morning.
Does Daddy?
That's gross. Awful. Yeah. But I don't know why I say it worse than you said. You can call me Papa. Cheers.
Cheers, buddy. Love it.
Papa.
Shall we do another?
Now, piss off, kid. Your father's drinking with his pals. We're having the fun segment now. We've been doing the fucking Lord's work previously, and now we're gonna have fun. Piss off.
Okay, Papa. Please don't come later and hit me in the stable.
All right, piss off.
Would you like to hit me in the stable? The lips will be fine.
It's fine. I'll hit you on the veranda. See you up there.
So I very much wanted to throw Frederick Douglass into the fun section, but for multiple reasons. One, you yelling at me. Two, being later in the episode, I decided not to. I threw him into the serious. And so for the fun, to balance it out, we're going to talk about Amelia Bedelia.
Okay. Great, John.
What do you know about Amelia Bedelia?
I know that you're going to break my heart with this segment. I don't know why you're bringing shit up. Like, yeah, it's kind of, I can remember a few jokes. Like, oh yeah, it's like, what's her name? Not Coraline. Who's the little French girl who like goes with the nun who gets the mumps?
Oh, right.
Catherine. No, Madeline.
Madeline. There you go.
Madeline. Yeah.
Madeline. No.
It's the same thing. Amelia Bedelia she's the dumb maid housekeeper who's like, okay, so they said, make sure you're ready for the baby shower. So she takes the baby and puts it in the shower. And it's like, she takes every job she does literally and does the things literally.
Yep.
And she still gets hired book after book after book, John. I don't get it. It's like Clifford the Big Red Dog. I don't know why they don't put him out to pasture. Why do they keep giving him jobs near towns and houses?
Well, I'm going to venture into that. Why?
Jesus Christ, John. All right, it's 10:20. So that means we're... I don't know, maybe
you got this.
6:20 green sandwich time. AM.
Yes.
All right. Woo!
I didn't even know where you were going with that. Wow.
Yeah, I had to figure out the timeline like this.
You got to reset yourself. You're like, oh crap.
Yeah, carry the one and have to be your bowl. So therefore.
So from the New York Times book review, quote, no child can resist Amelia and her literal trips through the minefield of the English language, and no adult can fail to notice that she's usually right when she's wrong, end quote.
Yeah, no, it's English language is a bullshit language. I don't think Amelia Bedelia would work in a lot of different cultures because those words don't exist like that. Why is that crazy bitch doing that?
So the title, Amelia Bedelia, is the first book in the popular Amelia Bedelia children's picture book series about a housekeeper who takes her instructions literally. It was written by...
Literally. Thank you very much.
And Julie in our YouTube just said, wait, a literal trip through a minefield? LOL.
Literally. Oh, Amelia Bedelia, you get it now. You can't listen to the rest of this.
It was created and originally written by Peggy Parrish, illustrated by Fritz Seibel, and published by Harper and Row in 1963. The idea for the book came from a former housekeeper, as well as Peggy's third grade students at the Dalton School in Manhattan, who tended to confuse vocabulary, often with comic results. Amelia Bedelia has been referenced for its use of language and portrayal of gender norms. Over 35 million copies, just the first book, I'm only talking about the one, copies of books in the series have been sold. 2013 marked the book's 50th anniversary and commemorated by its popularity with the publication of a new line of Amelia Bedelia books. So it continues to today.
I don't know, John. I don't know if now's the time. If you're doing it today and you're still doing your same old shtick, I feel like you sold out. Yeah, you're still doing your thing, but how can you do the same thing that you started in '63 today in the same vein and attitude in the same.
Let's find out. Let's find out how Amelia Bedelia has evolved throughout the years.
Oh,
from
I can't wait.
63 to today.
Amelia Bedelia and nope, not even gonna go there, John. I'll let you. No.
So the protagonist is likely inspired by a housekeeper at Peggy Parrish's grandparents' home when she was a child. In a 2013 interview, Herman Parrish recalls how his aunt created Amelia Bedelia's character because of the need to target children of a certain age when they are both interested in reading and able to use their imagination without restraint. Herman Parrish refers this same idea in another interview about Amelia Bedelia, noting the importance of incorporating imagination and fun into books and engaging children readers.
That's the same thing as when you're looking for little smugglers for contraband. You know, to be small enough to not be charged as adults or really looked at upon, but old enough to know they're going to get a fucking whooping if they don't get across that border in a timely fashion. Wonderland. One gets it.
So years later, her nephew and future author of the series, Herman Parrish, heard a tale from one of his late aunt's cousins about a young, inept housekeeper who used to work for their grandparents. Quote, their grandparents told her to sweep around the room. She did just what she was told. She swept the edges of the room clean, but left the center of the room untouched, end quote. Herman said in a 2013 interview, quote, I asked this cousin if he had ever reminded Peggy about this maid. He said that when he did, Peggy did not say anything. She just smiled, end quote.
Take my golden goose, kid. That's my character.
So this children's book series was written by Peggy Parrish from 63 until her death in 1980.
Based on nobody, it's mine, all mine. I'm Peggy Parrish. I came up with the idea myself. Nobody else. Anybody else who thinks differently can shut the fuck up. Especially you, Junior. Any maids who may or may not have been the grandparents' house.
So she did it from the beginning in 63 until 88. So for 25 years with her death. And then her nephew, Herman, began in 1995. They have been illustrated by Wallace Tripp, Fritz Seibel, and the two current illustrators, Lynn Sweat and Lynn Avril. Lynn is spelled two different ways, so I try to make it different, but whatever. Yeah, those two people.
Okay.
In 1992, HarperCollins republished the three original stories, Amelia Bedelia, Thank You, Amelia Bedelia, and Amelia Bedelia and the Surprise Shower, with illustrations by Fritz's daughter, Barbara Seibel Thomas.
Mm-hmm.
So, as we were saying, she repeatedly misunderstands various commands of her employers by taking figures of speech and various terminology literally, causing her to perform incorrect actions with a comical effect. An example, she interprets a request to put the lights out as a request to physically put the light bulbs outside.
Right.
Part of the reason given for this behavior is that she comes from a family who takes everything literally. Her method of ridding the house of dust is to undust rather than dust the furniture. However, she almost always manages to win everyone over in the end with her excellent cooking, particularly of desserts. Much of her employment is as a maid for a wealthy couple known as the Rogers. who are astute enough to realize her literalism and writes their request as undust the furniture and put the wet towels in the laundry and replace them with clean, dry ones, as opposed to simply change the towels.
Right. But on her days off, she also makes a great third. Meet us at the bungalow for consensual snuggling.
Take off your leg if possible.
Get in there.
So this can lead to a discussion about language and communication, about what it takes to understand and to be understood. You can start by asking
amputees, like what lost the leg, and now that it's gone, how can you use it to your advantage in the future? Things like that. I'm with you, John.
In a classroom setting, you can ask the children after reading one of these books what they would have done with Mr. and Mrs. Rogers' chore list. Presumably, they would say they would not do what Amelia did, but instead what Mr. and Mrs. Rogers wanted. You can ask why Amelia Bedelia did what she did, and whether they can imagine a situation in which she could have done the right thing. So,
are you doing a lesson plan right now, bro? What are you? Okay, yeah. Okay, go ahead. Continue. Sorry.
So it's looking at language in a way that through education rarely and mostly never happens. Don't take it for don't take it literally. Take it for what we mean it to be. Don't listen to what I say. Don't listen to what I do. But listen to what I say. That that this switcheroo, right?
Right. Don't look a gift prostitute in the mouth.
Another idea that can be raised with education, as I'm talking about with these books, is when Mr. and Mrs. Rogers are about to fire Amelia, she sends them a lemon meringue pie, and they forgive her. So they're given a chance to formulate their ideas of what forgiveness is and explore when they think forgiveness is necessary. However, Mr. and Mrs. Rogers are only keeping Amelia Bedelia because they like her pie. So did they forgive her? Or and what is necessary for forgiveness to occur?
Holy shit, John, you're doing a whole lesson plan and then you're asking questions about why it's not a good lesson plan. What other lessons does it teach? What if they're fucking diabetic, John? What if you tried to fucking get them to fucking sugar spikes so you lose all legs? What if it's a whole amputee thing? That's where it comes back into the amputees, Amelia Bedelia style. Who took my leg? Amelia Bedelia took your leg. Sugar, love, and misunderstanding. Amelia Bedelia. In the night to haunt your dreams and your sugar intakes. No more learning, John. No more. No more learning. Oh, no more learning, Peggy Parrish. It's not anyone I ever knew. This is all constructs of my own mind. I knew no clumsy maids. My grandparents' house that I happen to pay royalties to later on down the line. I, sole creator of misunderstanding maids. I am Peggy Parrish.
And for those on our YouTube page, we are showing images of Amelia. Hey, Two-Sided Pod, all one word, TWO-Sided Pod. Check us out on all the socials, from Patreon to YouTube and the rest. So following Parrish's death, children would send in fan letters asking about the continuation of the book series. Her nephew, Herman, felt uncomfortable to let her work be continued by someone not in the family, and then he undertook the authorship in '95.
I gotta get that
with
money,
full
Herman
support of the family.
style. Of
Full
course.
support.
Anybody else in the family want to challenge Herman? Oh, not Herman. Herman's just as mean as Peggy was. And if we challenge Herman, the trouble will be a brewing. Trouble will be a brewing in the parish. Fuck you, John. I couldn't alliterate that one.
In 2009, Herman began writing books about Amelia Bedelia's own childhood, so doing prequels experiences, starting with Amelia Bedelia's first day of school, illustrated by Lynn Avril. And here's the picture of that one. There you go.
That was a good one. The next one that is, I'm glad you're doing this because I don't think it's next, but Amelia Bedelia's first school shooting. You have that one right. She was.
So from the Amelia Bedelia website, quote, meet Amelia Bedelia. She's shorter and she's younger than the one you know, but she'll make you laugh all the same. Amelia Bedelia has been cracking up readers for 50 years. Find out what she was like as a child and why she is the way she is in these picture books and chapter books about Amelia Bedelia's adorably confused childhood. End quote.
We can blame her upbringing. All right. It's the public school systems that brought us to the Amelia we know today. How dare you, public schools? That's why we need higher education. It's a whole allegory for our learning institutions, John. That's what it is.
Ferris Bueller, you're my hero.
God damn it. You're going down, Ferris Bueller.
Amelia Bedelia first employment for unfair dismissal from Julie on YouTube. Okay. This American Life did an episode in 2021 imagining a modern Amelia dealing with quarantine and remote work. NPR's and This American Life podcast solicited writer Hallie Cantor to envision Amelia's response to COVID-19 lockdowns and the work from home life.
Is that out there? Oh shit, John. You turned me on to something I'm going to fucking listen to tomorrow. Okay, go ahead. Tell me what Hourglass has to say about this.
Well, Amelia literally hops on a Zoom call, quote, and visits a baseball field to, quote, touch base with HR.
That's awesome. That's awesome. That's awesome. Hell yeah.
So this all spawns from the author Sarah Blackwood in her New Yorker article, The Secret Rebellion of Amelia Bedelia, the Bartley of Domestic Work. Quote, many classic children's books beg for philosophical readings. The likes of Charlotte's Web or Are You My Mother are well known as complex and subterranean ruminations on death and identity and community. Had you asked me a couple years ago, I would not have classified Peggy Parrish's Amelia Bedelia series as this loftier group. My children delighted in the wordplay, but I found the books a bit one note. Yet, the more I read Amelia Bedelia, the more unsettled I felt. I began to suspect that I wasn't hearing all the notes. The books, with illustrations by Fritz Seibel, depicted a young woman who sows domestic chaos in and around the home of her wealthy employers, a snooty older couple who have outsourced the labor of keeping their household, family, and community relations running smoothly. Each book follows a simple formula. Amelia Bedelia, a household replete with apron and frilled cap, encounters various domestic imperatives. Clean the house, host a party, babysit, substitute teach. But rather than keeping order, Amelia Bedelia creates disarray. She takes each instruction she is given with an absurd literalism. Draw the drapes, Mrs. Rogers tells her. Amelia Bedelia reaches for a pen and paper. She dresses the chicken, but in lederhosen. And when asked to dust the furniture, she sprinkles powder all over the living room. Asked to change the towels, she takes scissors to them. She dirties and destroys her employer's possessions. In other words, breaking one of the primary taboos of domestic employment.
Punk rock, baby. Woo! Don, I think we should rip this shit off now. But instead of like normal turns of phrase, like anything that's the colloquialisms that we use today that are your like, hey man, you gonna go have some sack? Well, you got anything? Got any hands? Oh man, I'm on fumes, bro. Give me some snaps.
So, every time the Rogerses are about to cast her aside, every time they are, quote, angry, very angry, end quote, she entices them back by appealing to their appetites because of the great chef, right? And this is a huge thing that the author is saying, like, she's amazing and crazy and an agent of chaos.
Yeah, doing just enough to stay around, but all the things to get you sent out. Bro, that's how I live my life.
They went so far.
You know when they say, don't put paper towels in the drains, big signs over the sinks? That's because I was in that bathroom. Agent of chaos. No, that's not true. Don't do that.
Don't put paper towels in the sinks. I don't know if I've seen that sign. I guess you haven't done that much.
I haven't visited you in your neighborhood. You wait till I get there, John. I promise you, it takes one person. I am that person. But then when they find me, I'll send them a lemon meringue pie and be like, hey, mea culpa. You like lemons? You like diabetes? I'm apologizing, and I am sorry.
Looking at her Agent of Chaos aspect, another article from the New Yorker, more recent, called Samuel Alito's Amelia Bedelia Reading of the Constitution.
Justice Alito's?
Yeah.
Oh my God. It's crazy. Was there anyone dissenting from this story? Or are they all in agreement?
So the first paragraph of it is essentially the same as the last one. My children loved it, and I didn't think anything of it. They loved the wordplay. So, second paragraph. Our kids loved the wordplay and, of course, the foolish adults. They got the joke. After several hundred listenings, however, it dawned on me. Amelia Bedelia, as others have noted, knows precisely what she is doing. She's an anarchist, an agent of chaos, and is intentionally punishing the rich couple for some conduct deep in the untold backstory of the series. No reasonable person can use words that literally, with no awareness of how words can have multiple meanings. Even children know that the phrase "catch the school bus" doesn't refer to grabbing a large yellow vehicle flying through the air. Amelia Bedelia is a functioning adult who manages to get work each day, surely also understands the figurative use of language and is simply pretending not to in order to achieve her own nefarious ends.
See, now, John, I have to argue the other thing, because how dare this bitch come into my school grounds and yell at my nanny who can cook like this, like that? Because here's the deal. Maybe she has some sort of disability. Maybe she's somewhere on the spectrum. Maybe she can't do this. Maybe she does not understand. And just because she happens to get a job, you're aware, you've seen Michael Scott. You've seen people, you have a boss somewhere who's like, how do you breathe? What are you doing with your life? And you're still running apart. Like, what is happening with this? But I'm just saying, maybe it is what it is, and they make great pie. And you're now judging someone who has a mental disability, and you don't get to do that today. Maybe it's just about good pie. Or maybe we should read the next review. The children loved it. Go ahead. Do you have the next one? Do you want me to read the next one?
No, you read the next one.
You sure? We're finished. We're finishing the reviews, right? Of what parents are saying about Amelia Bedelia.
Totally. I have so little left. You just read the next one.
Dear Amelia, I've read your book to my children. I don't know if it'll tie them over. Little Timmy's got the flu. It's been so cold up here. We have no food. We have no fuel. Pa's been gone for 6 weeks. Caroline went to go out to feed the chickens and never came back. I told her ain't had no chickens since the fall. She wouldn't listen. Walked off into the snow. Anyway, I felt that was very Amelia Bedelia of her, and I blame you. Any hoozlebees. Hope your book tour goes well.
LOL, that means lots of love.
So dumb. I need to have kids so I can watch kids' movies and read books and write reviews to authors. In that, you'll never learn. The boy is disturbed with what you've done to him. I have become disturbed as well. We are going to the four corners to weep and regret and think about what our lives will be moving forward. Also, they have really good nachos there and fried bread. We'll write you when we get back. Cool.
XOXO. Lots of love.
Yours and Amelia Bedelia.
So this last article was in direct reference to the leaking of the majority opinion of overturning Roe versus Wade. So Justice Alito, in his draft opinion, argues that because he can find no reference to abortion in the Constitution, and because there is no widely established right to abortion in 1868, at the time of ratification of the 14th Amendment, which contains a due process where Roe versus Wade includes the right to privacy, there is no basis for finding that the Constitution protects any such right. That is not what due process means, Alito maintains, because it is not reflected in the historical record he selectively cites. Like Amelia Bedelia, he latches onto a specific fixed meaning within the Constitution and refuses to consider any broader possible meaning. And while strictly speaking, Amelia Bedelia may be more of a textual, relying solely on the words themselves, than an originalist seeking to understand what the words meant at the time they were used. The utter disregard for destructive outcomes is the same. End quote.
Anarchy. John, I put a cravat on for this bullshit today.
It's all literal. It's all literary. It's all literature, baby.
That's it. That's the last time I wear a blazer and a cravat to this show. I thought you were upper crust, you people of the dregs of society. Boo. Boo this man.
And to finish that off, there is a statue of Amelia Bedelia in Manning, South Carolina, Peggy Parrish's hometown. And that's it. That's Amelia Bedelia. Isn't that fun?
There you go. No, it was great. There's a statute of limitations of the time you get to talk about fun and serious, and both of those are up, motherfucker.
We got some messages and we're going to finish this off. But first, the sources for this episode of Two Sided have been the first segment, The Life and Times of Frederick Douglass, his autobiography. Additional sources, PBS, River Campus Libraries, History.com, Britannica, and Yale.edu. Second segment, Amelia Bedelia Books.com, MentalFloss.com, The Prindle Institute, and The New Yorker.
I wish I could have a mic over you because I have good jokes for everything. All right. Yeah, no, I got nothing here. I got nothing. That's great, John. I'm glad you did all the research. I'm glad you got your serious segment.
What is that noise?
That's my pacemaker fucking going off. No. Here's the deal. You don't get to ask questions about noises with you slurping down cocktails and chomping ice all the time. You don't get to ask questions about noise. All I'm saying, you did good work today, John. The serious segment was good and serious. It was aggressively long. The fun segment was not fun because you related to Alito's rights about Amelia Bedelia and how this is why this happened, because he's silly like Peggy Parknett in the Parknett series or whatever. Anyway, we're gonna bite off this series. We're gonna do a children's book all about stuff on the wrong side of the tracks. It's gonna be great. That's what I take away. Yeah, it's gonna be great.
Let's plow through these messages and get out of here.
I never liked her. I don't know why. She just seems strange to me.
Agent of Chaos.
Told her to dust the furniture. This idiot would actually put dust on the furniture.
Right.
Scary.
Right.
If you told this little idiot to dress the turkey, this bitch went and got dressed and put it on the turkey. She's the most terrifying character for children. She was a complete idiot. Did she? You know what? I don't want to say the wrong
I'm
thing.
saying, I know.
I don't know. I thought she was an idiot. I'm sorry. Did I say it out loud? I'm saying too much.
I'm with you 100%.
Was she autistic? No, I'm
See? She's off.
Autistic. This bitch is like all over the world. I'm like going.
Right? Some say she's an agent of chaos who knows exactly who's paying fucking long game, a hard con. This is the 12 monkeys kind of shit that we infiltrate the fucking man, take him down from the inside. I say it's like, hey man, you just got out on a work release program. You learned how to fucking make toast without burning the house down. Now you have a job at someone's house. Like, this is good. Just don't put your hands in the toaster anymore.
I know nothing.
Nothing.
This is bordering on porn.
Oh.
You should just let Amelia Bedelia be who she is.
Right.
Just leave her the fuck alone. Don't you think?
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. At any point, you should always allow someone to do what they want to do.
Yeah, I come in with no judgment for Amelia Bedelia. I am somewhat of a newcomer to Amelia Bedelia and the legacy, and I'm fascinated. I found it amazingly fascinating that people were using her for this, like, not propaganda, but like subservient, like just, I'm gonna wreck your world, but you're gonna keep me around while I wreck your world.
Right. No, it was a very interesting it's a concept. It's the first time you see it in a literary concept. You're like, oh, here it is. Here's a game plan. Here's a blueprint for this exercise, and here's what's going to happen. And you watch people do it in real life, in real time. Like, what?
And we love wordplay. If you've been listening to the series of Two Sided, you know that my boy Pete and I will just randomly go into wordplay when it fancies us, if you know what I mean.
No, I would never say it fancies us. Who knows me knows I would burn John's house down if he ever tries to do that to me in my house. That's for sure.
For sure.
I'm not going to lie. I actually think my cleaner is basing herself purely on Amelia Bedelia. And my daughter's name's Amelia. And somebody said Amelia Bedelia, and it's completely unknown to me. So, yeah, that clears a lot of things up. Thank you.
You don't know Amelia Bedelia, and you have a child who's made it this far. That is one of the go-to. Well, it wasn't like Matt. Well, I don't know. Is that something we only read across the pond when we think of people who are like British or posh or Australian or wherever? Like Madeline is. Of course, you have nuns who do orphanages and walk kids around. That's a thing.
No, we have flying nuns, Sally Field.
No, that's a flying nun. Also, that's a flying buttress is an amazing thing in a castle. You guys, don't get me started on architecture right now. It's a little too late for me to talk about my fun things.
I also feel that Agents of Chaos and Anarchy are not in themselves political, nor good nor bad. It's the people who use them. Unfortunately, I feel the people who I don't fully agree with are using it much more than we should. And I think we should use Agents of Chaos and Anarchy a lot more than we are. On that note, my boy Pete, from this episode, is there anything you'd like to take a second glance at, a second look, a second thought, a second opinion? This is Pete's Rejection Corner.
Yeah, I wish I would have fucking shaken you like Amelia Bedelia's baby earlier on in this episode. Do you realize you went on for fucking 2 hours about Frederick Douglass? Do you realize what you've done with this episode? Do you realize my only fucking regret is that I didn't put a stop to this shit earlier, John. I can't let you go out to your own devices. Like, I understand we have a fucking working relationship, but fucking work with the relationship. Son of a bitch, John. I'm here for a good time, not for all the fucking time. How long? Not this fucking long. Let's get to it, fucking Junior. Are we doing a history goddamn show that John reads the fucking speeches of the American fucking abolitionists he loves? Or are we going to do a comedy goddamn podcast that we hit the highs and lows and the bullshit's moving on? You know, turns out a lot of one, less of the other tonight. What do I regret? Not taking a stand earlier, John. That's my rejection part.
Thanks for listening, everybody. We have our open chat show live on stereo every Tuesday at our usual start time. So if you want to join us or want to throw some topics out there, email twosidedpod@gmail.com. That's TWO sidedpod@gmail.com. And for those listening live on the stereo app, stick around in this room for a continued chat in the green room. Right now, for our after show wind down. That's a wrap for tonight. I'm John L. Peacock out in Brooklyn, New York.
I'm my boy Pete in Southern California, and I'm still stewing about this.
And this was our show. You can eavesdrop wherever you get your podcasts and even join us live, both on our YouTube channel, handled at Two Sided Pod, TWO Sided Pod, all one word, and the stereo app every Thursday, 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 p.m. Eastern, as we talk about the two sides of life, the serious and the fun, here on Two Sided. I love you, Pete.
Yes, John. I know. You do this to me. All I can do to not hang up on this